right, we're on?
Yeah.
All right, guys, thank you all for showing up here. We're also doing Facebook Live, okay? So about 10,000 people just joined you. So good to see you, both live and on tape later. All right, Catherine, my campaign manager for those at home, CA25th.com. Barnstorm, this is what it looks like. Take it away.
All right. Okay, so I'm glad you guys all got a chance to get to know each other. We have a ton of people here, so I'm just going to get right into it. Sometimes we share stories, but I think we'd be here forever if we did that. We have more time later. So I want to take a few minutes just to talk about the stakes of this election and to talk about our main opponent, Christy Smith, like I mentioned. So before I get to Christy, I want to get a show of hands. Who here has delayed seeking medical care or just put it off entirely because they cannot afford it? That's like everyone in the room, I think, almost everyone. Yeah, me too. I was recently enrolled in Obamacare for about a year, and this was in Texas, where it's considerably cheaper than California. And my premium was $300 a month, and my deductible was $8,000, which means that I did not use it a single time, literally never. Did not go to the doctor, did not go to the dentist. And I'm one of the lucky ones. I don't have a family, I don't have like kids that I need to provide care for. So there are a lot of people in way worse positions than that. Another show of hands. Who here has had to move within the last 5 years because they got priced out of their apartment, their rent was too high, they had to move somewhere else? Yeah, me as well. Obviously that happens to a ton of people in LA. That's true here in the city, but also in the 25th district. People have gotten pushed out of the city into the district and are now even being pushed farther out of the district because they can't afford rent there either. So we know that millions of people skip doctor's visits or just don't even seek care at all, sometimes in cases of emergency, and that thousands of people die every year because they don't have care, or hundreds of thousands of people go bankrupt because they do seek care and they can't afford it anyway. We know that the cost of rent has shot up, even when wages have gone down, and fight really hard for affordable housing and for some of these other policies. But there's sort of a misconception about this district, I think. People call the 25th district a swing district. I think they're wrong. Clinton won by about 7 points. Is that right? 7 points. And then Katie Hill won by about 6, 7, right around there. 9. Oh, wow. I was wrong. 9 points. So because of the rent prices going up in LA, the demographics are shifting the district, and it's probably going to continue to actually get bluer and bluer, which is good. It means, we can elect more Democrats, but what that also means is that it's really hard to be an incumbent, and the seat is open right now. So when people win, when Democrats win, and they sit in their seat, the DCCC and all these other organizations put their thumb on the scale. They do their absolute best to keep them in office. They pour millions of dollars into their races, they take out ads for them, they send mail for them. It's incredibly hard to be an incumbent. That's why AOC's race was so incredible. So what that means here is there's an open seat. Cenk has a real shot here, and the battle for the 25th is right now. It's not 2 years from now, it's not 4 years from now. If Christy gets that seat, it is going to be so hard for a progressive to win. And Cenk is a once-in-a-lifetime candidate, so we really need to make sure that Cenk wins. Cenk will call out corruption in DC. As most of you know, you're all TYT watchers, or almost all of you, except for my one friend who came to support me. Cenk is going to fight like hell for the legislation that will, here's a...
Star of the show, Joy! And Crow, come on now. And my not only beautiful, but most importantly, patient wife, Wendy.
All right, so the stakes could not be higher in this election. We need Cenk in Congress. The people in the 25th district deserve health care. They deserve living wages. They deserve affordable housing. So we really need to win. So now I'm going to talk about how exactly we're going to do that and how you all are going to help us with that, even though you may not be in the 25th district. So all of the science done on voter contact tells us that the most important thing all of us can do is have face-to-face or over-the-phone conversations with voters. And as we move into the final phase of the campaign, which is called Get Out the Vote, or GOTV for short, we are basically going to be having two types of conversations with people, persuasion and turnout. So let's talk about persuasion first. We are expecting record high turnout in this election, and we know that people are going to turn out like never before to vote against Trump and to vote for their Democratic candidate of choice, hopefully Bernie. Which is great. It'd be great to see Bernie in California. If Bernie wins California, then it's probably Bernie. But what we also know is that not a lot of people are actually tuned into some of the races that are down the ballot a bit. So as much as we all know and love Cenk, there are tons of people in the district who don't know him, don't know anyone who's running, don't even know that there's a special election happening. In fact, I've knocked on doors of people who didn't know that Katie Hogan resigned. So there are just a ton of people who don't know who they're voting for yet, and they won't make up their mind until probably the very end. So that's why we need to have persuasion conversations with them. Our job is to inform these people who Cenk is, that he's running, what he's fighting for, and then take down their information, and hopefully we can reach out to them again before Election Day. So you'll get in-depth persuasion, you'll get in-depth training on persuasion a little bit later, not today. But what you need to know right now is that persuasion actually works, even if you've had some conversations with your friends and family that show that persuasion doesn't really work. This is a little different. So persuasion at the door, for example, works around 30% of the time on the first conversation, 55% on the second conversation, and about 70% on the third conversation. So actually pretty well. So when we encounter someone who doesn't know who Cenk is and they don't know who they're voting for yet, we will have a persuasion conversation with them, and then we'll have a turnout conversation with them. Before I get to turnout, when we encounter someone who does support Cenk, we will skip persuasion altogether and go to turnout. When we encounter someone who is definitely never voting for Cenk and they're like, hell no, I'll never vote for that guy, that's fine. We just thank them for their time, and we move on to the next door or to the next call. So let me explain what a turnout conversation is then. In these conversations, we use all the tactics that the science tells us actually works. So we tell people that we're expecting record turnout and that their neighbors are definitely voting, so they should take part in this. We will make a really detailed plan to vote with them and make sure that they know how to vote. For all of you here in LA, the voting system has changed a bit, so make sure you know how to vote, even if you can't vote for Cenk. And then we'll tell them that we know whether they vote or not. That's public record, so we're going to keep an eye on them, and we can let them know that we know they haven't voted yet. So this might sound a little uncomfortable, might sound a little weird if you've never had one of these conversations. It might feel a little weird when you actually do. But again, this is what science tells us works. And a little bit of discomfort now is worth it if the alternative is just continued discomfort for years and years and years with our current elected officials. So now that we know what sort of conversations we need to have, let's talk about how we're going to have enough of them to actually move the needle on the outcome of the election. Even though we've been very lucky to raise a ton of money, we're very lucky to have a really talented staff. We are never going to have enough money. We are never going to have enough staff to have the number of conversations we need to have to actually win the election. So we put power into the hands of volunteers to help us with this work. What that means is that we need volunteers to actually step up to lead campuses and phone banks, and we will recruit volunteers into them. We'll train you, you will train volunteers, and then you will all knock on doors or make phone calls together. So in a few minutes, I'm going to ask some of you to actually stand up and take on that work right now, step up to lead campuses and phone banks. But let me just go over a few of the numbers first. So Cenk does bring some advantages to this race. We have supporters all across the country that have allowed us to raise a lot of money and to do a lot of work, and that's great, but at the same time, we are actually underdogs. Everyone in the media and the political establishment is counting on us not being enthusiastic enough or powerful enough to actually pull out a win over the person that they have all decided is entitled to the seat. They are counting on our special interest money they're counting on that money to be more powerful than the people in this room and the people in the district. And Christy's team is betting that if she just avoids Cenk and the district at all costs, then maybe she can eke out a win. I don't know if you've been following this saga, but Christy refuses to debate or appear at like any public events. I think maybe she's had 2 public events since the beginning of the campaign. I think we've had like yeah. In fact, Christy is in Santa Monica right now at a private fundraiser, and the minimum buy-in is $500. If you pay $500, you get the title of supporter. So,
congratulations, you all get the title of supporter for free!
So, our bet is that they don't know who we are. They don't know what we're capable of. They don't know, or maybe they don't care, that we've already knocked on over 12,000 doors, that we've made over 100,000 calls, and that we've sent about 200,000 text messages in just the last month, which is bonkers. So now I'm going to tell you what we need to do between now and March 3rd, and before I do, let me just say that campaigns almost never share these numbers. They mostly keep these numbers to senior leadership and candidates. They don't even tell their full staff. Not only are we telling you, we're broadcasting it to the internet, and we will also be putting this on our website soon. And the reason why campaigns don't share this is, one, they're scared of failure. They don't want to put out a number publicly and then miss it, and then they have to be like, oh shit, we missed our numbers, that's really bad. But the other reason is that they don't want their competitors to know what work they're doing. They want to throw them off the trail. I think that's kind of stupid. I mean, obviously we're all going to be contacting as many voters as we can, or hopefully at least. I think the campaigns that hide those numbers are hiding them because they're not doing a great job of voter engagement. We are not that campaign. So let me go into those numbers. So we think that we need to knock on at least 35,000 doors between tomorrow and March 3rd. I'll level with you, that's going to be really, really, really hard. That is about 700 shifts over the next 5 weeks. We also think we need to make over 250,000 calls between tomorrow and Election Day. That's roughly 300 or so shifts over the next 5 weeks. And we think we need to send about 500,000 texts between Monday and Election Day. And that's about 300 shifts as well. So we come up with these numbers based on how many voters are in the district and how many we think we need to contact. And we think these numbers will allow us to contact voters multiple times over, because since a lot of people just don't know this race is going on, they don't know who Cenk is, we think we're going to have multiple conversations with them, or at least attempt to reach out to them multiple times to really have a high quality conversation with them. So let me be straight with you guys. We have made thousands of calls. Like I said, we've made well over 100,000 now. When I wrote this script, it was 100,000. I wrote it about a week ago, so we're probably at like 120 or 130 now. We just did 45,000 in one weekend a few weeks ago. So I think we're going to hit 250,000. But what we don't want to do is have a bunch of people in the district making calls and they be knocking doors. So one of the reasons why we wanted to do this event here in LA is because I know some of you just cannot make it up to the district, or you cannot make it up very frequently. And we would love for you to take on a lot of the phone banking responsibilities that we don't want to put on people in the district, because we're going to tell all of them to knock on doors. So LA, our phone number is sort of on your shoulders. About texting, we honestly could probably send like 1 million texts between now and March 3rd if we wanted to. We have thousands of volunteers across the country who are very dedicated texting team members. Some of you may be in the room. I know there are some people locally who are texting as well. So we are almost definitely going to hit 500,000. The only reason we're not going to do more is because we just don't actually have that many cell phone numbers to text. So the one that's going to be really hard is the doors. Knocking 35,000 between now and March 3rd is going to be near impossible. And that's why I am going to ask those of you who can make it to the district to knock on doors, even if it is one time between now and March 3rd, even if you only do 50, 60 doors over the next 5 weeks, I'm going to ask you to do it. And then I'm going to ask you to make calls as well. So knocking 35,000 doors is near impossible, but we are here to do the impossible. Cenk is here to do the impossible, and he's done it before. A lot of people said AOC would never win, and look at her now and all the other Justice Dems that are in Congress. And we think that the people in the 25th District deserve the impossible because the alternative is someone who's not even willing to give them what's in the realm of possibility. So we're going to ask you all to do the impossible. And in a moment, I'm going to ask you to sign up to create canvassing events in the district or phone banking events. Let me explain both. Canvassing events have to be in the district, obviously. You have to knock the doors, so they're in the district. You can start them from anywhere. If you don't live there, don't worry. You can start them from a park or a cafe or something. If you can't make it to the district, or you can't make it frequently, you can host a phone banking event from anywhere in the country. So we use a software that allows volunteers to call into the district from anywhere. And we have online trainings, and online guides that will make sure you're ready to go. So you don't ever have to leave the comfort of your home to phone bank. When you fill out these forms, you need to include your name, your email address, your phone number, and the address where you're hosting, and the zip code. You'll then circle the dates that you're going to host and include the times as well. So a couple notes about these forms. Please fill it out completely. Please write legibly. If you haven't filled it out completely, we can't post it online, which is the next thing we do. And if you haven't written legibly, we will call you and text you until we get hold of you. So please spare us that extra work and fill it out completely legibly. And after you've signed to do this, we're going to recruit for your events in 2 ways. One, we're actually going to recruit for them today. So hosts will come up right here, take the microphone, say when and where their event is, and then people in the room will come up to sign up. We're also going to send texts and call people and send emails to come to your events. You've probably been on the receiving ends of at least one, if not all 3 of those methods of communication. We've heard from people that were just calling too much, which is what we like to hear. So, enough of the details. We will walk you through everything. We will be with you every step of the way. We have an incredible team of organizers who have been trained by the best people in the business to get you prepared. So don't worry about that if you've never done it before. It's super easy. Because this is it. Who's going to stand up right now and agree to volunteer and host a canvas or a phone bank? I want you to, if you're standing, raise your hand. If you're not standing, actually stand up. Stand up, raise your hands. No, I will not accept just a few of you. Okay, keep your hands raised. Keep your hands raised. Give them a round of applause. And I want at least 2 more people. There are so many people in this room. Am I missing anyone behind me? Okay, we got 1 more. Anyone else? 1 more person. All right, there we go. Okay. That's great. Now I'm going to ask the host to actually go to this table. This is Monique. She's our wonderful organizing director. She'll help you with the forms. And so anyone who agreed to host, head over that way. And while they fill those forms out, I'm going to guilt the rest of you because you are now going to be asked to sign up to attend canvas or phone banking shifts. So I just want to do a little math here. Look around the room. How many people do you think are in this room?
1 million people.
No, not a million.
Oh, sorry.
75? Okay. So let's say that, I don't know, we're in LA, so let's say about half of you can make it to the district at least once between now and March 3rd. That's 32-ish? No. 37-ish people? Okay. So each shift is about 50 doors. Let's say you do 1 shift. What's 37 times 50? You would do that math for me?
1,700.
All right. Let's just call it a full 2,000. Okay. So 2,000 doors can be knocked by the people in this room. Not even all of them. Half of them, or maybe even less than half, can do 2,000, and it takes about 3 hours. So if you all, half of you, can dedicate 3 hours between now and March 3rd, and I believe there are many, many hours between now and March 3rd, probably thousands of them, maybe hundreds of them, I don't know. In only 3 hours, we can knock 2,000 doors. Our goal is 35,000 doors between now and March 3rd. We have people in the district, hundreds of people in the district right now who are signed up to knock on doors and are hosting campuses already. So I want to impress upon you the impact you can have with just a few hours between now and March 3rd. If you cannot make it to the district, that is okay. There's still plenty of work for you to do here in LA. The way that our dialer system works, so the software we use for making calls, is that the number of people who get on the dial at the same time, the dialer will dial out multiple numbers at once, which means the more people that get on it, the more calls it makes, and it just increases exponentially. So we made, like I said, we made about 45,000 calls 2 weekends ago, and of those 45,000, about 35 happened on Saturday. And we made that many calls in one day because about 15 people got onto the dialer at the same time together across the country. Only 15 people getting onto the dialer for a few hours allowed us to make about 35,000 calls. Now, there are more than 15 people in this room, I believe. So if 20 people get on the dialer at the same time for like 2 hours, they'll probably make like way more than 35,000. And keep in mind, we have volunteers dialing in all over the country. Like truly, we have, I don't know, like people in DC and New York who make calls every weekend. So if you cannot make it up to the district, that's okay. You can still have meaningful conversations with voters in the district in a way that has a massive impact on the campaign, and you can do it from the comfort of your own home. So again, remember the stakes of this election. Remember that, and Cenk will talk about this more and do a better job talking about this, but just imagine Bernie is president. Imagine that Cenk is in Congress with him. And we all in this room have the power to actually get him there. So I'm going to pass it over to Cenk now.
Okay, so first of all, thank you all for coming out, and I really, really appreciate it if you volunteer. I'm going to tell you a couple of quick volunteer stories which are fun, but first I want to point out that Ben Mankiewicz is in the room. And nothing makes him more uncomfortable than a chant. Good, I love it, good warm-up. Well, only thing could be worse is if we start calling him Mank the Tank. So for all of you that came out, I love meeting all of you guys, so make sure that you stay to the end, and I'll say hi to everybody who wants to and take pictures with everybody who wants to take pictures, so thank you for that. And then I wanted to just tell you those stories. So, you know, I mentioned the cliffhanger of AOC was down 35 points a month before the election, and then she still won by a large margin. How did she do that? Well, she had people, and so the volunteers made a giant, giant difference. Now, she had a second advantage, honestly. In her district, there's a lot of high-rises, so volunteers' impact was intensified, because they go up and down the high-rises, and they knock on a lot of doors. And so Crowley didn't see it coming at all. I mean, he was incredibly arrogant and thought he didn't need volunteers. A lot of these establishment Democrats don't even take volunteers. They're like, I already got the corporate money, I don't need you guys, right? I remember Dianne Feinstein didn't even have a tab for volunteer on her website. She's like, volunteer, one name so, right? So, but those volunteers that went up and down the high rises went up and down Joe Crowley's career and ran him over, okay? So Joe Crowley right now, by the way, you're going to be shocked to find out is a lobbyist. Okay? So if you guys can help me make Christy a lobbyist, okay, and that'll be great. She'll make more money. She'll be thrilled. So you have that kind of power. So when I've been out there, a couple of wonderful stories. One is I was at the Santa Clarita Mall. I'm doing a lot of malls lately. Still haven't had time to buy new jeans. My mom's yelling at me. But I'm meeting folks and I'm talking about, and a couple of people at the Santa Clarita Mall were like, when I showed them my name, they're like, oh, I know who you are. I'm like, oh, really? Do you watch the Young Turks? They're like, no, you texted me earlier in the day. So they're getting your text. Like I told you, Lisa, who showed up yesterday in Palmdale for a barnstorm in the district, she said, oh, one of your friends called me. That's you guys. Okay, so you're one of my friends, and you called her, and she showed up. And now she's reaching out to more people and is a volunteer. I'll tell you 2 extreme stories that are kind of fun. So I'm at a swap meet in the middle of the desert in Palmdale, and it's going great. Lots of, I'm going to keep it real with you guys, Latinos, African Americans. So everybody's like, yes, Medicare for all. Yes, corruption sucks. Yes, you know, all these great agreement. But there's some folks who don't agree. That's super normal, right? And one guy's walking up. The kids are they still here? No, they're not? Okay, so I can tell. All right, they're far away enough. So I walk up to one guy and he goes, okay, man, he's got his socks pulled up. I don't know what race he is. I can't tell. He's got a big mustache and he's like, okay, man. And he's all excited. He's like, all right, what party are you? I say, I'm a Democrat. He goes, fuck you. He goes, I'm a Republican, so I'm never going to vote for you. And he walks like one more step and then turns around and goes, but I like that you're here. And I always tell them, look, I don't take any corporate money and I don't take any lobbyist money, which gives me time to talk to you guys. I also tell them something else that's really important and powerful. If I win, my job title is representative. That means my job is to represent them. And so, unfortunately, most of the politicians in this country have forgotten that.
Yep.
They think their job is to represent the donors, right? Yep. So I tell every voter I meet, you're going to be my boss, so you got to tell me what to do, okay? And that's powerful because that's what democracy is supposed to be. You're supposed to be the boss. It is your government. Every once in a while, people on TV will yell at you, like, oh, you know, like, they just want stuff. Yeah, it's a democracy. Yeah, we want the representative to represent us and give us not just free stuff, but things that help our lives. That's how it's supposed to work. And the rich have been getting it, and corporations have been getting it for decade after decade. It's time that we get it, and that's how it's supposed to be. So the last example is we go, and sometimes the doors are a little imposing, okay? And sometimes people will be rude, but actually 8 out of 10 times they're not. They're wonderful, okay? And sometimes there'll be a cute little dog, but he won't shut up, okay? And so a lot of times you get the closed door. It's not because they want to be rude. It's not because they want to shut you out. They actually like talking to you 8 out of 10 times. It's just they get all, it turns out like 109% of Americans have dogs. Okay, so they got to open the door a little bit so the dog doesn't run out, etc. Sometimes there'll be a pit bull that's ready to jump the fence. Do not go into those houses. Okay, keep it real. I need you to be safe. But that is very, very rare. But a lot of times things will seem imposing when they are not. Okay, so there'll be signs that say no solicitation, and you got to actually open a little door in the driveway to get in or something. And we go to the and Catherine tells me every time, no. Don't worry about any of those signs. Go knock on the door. It's going to be okay. I mean, we get to one door. There's a little door. We go in. Then it says no solicitation, and then it lists like 12 things. Like, I don't want your damn pizza. Right? I'm happy with my religion. I don't need yours. Right? And then it says no politicians. I don't want anything to do with you. Right? And I'm like, all right, here we go. Right? Not going to do it. Sweetest lady, I swear to God, out of the entire canvassing, and I've talked to like now almost 1,000 people, okay, me personally. There's one thing we use called Reach, maybe we'll show you that, it's a super cool app, and right now I'm the lead volunteer. Okay, I'm busting my ass, and I'm out there every day talking to folks. Anyway, she was probably the single best person. She's like, oh my God, you're running for Congress, that's so lovely. Oh my God, you're going to represent us. Well, that's a difference. I like that. Okay. She's like, I think I'm going to tell everybody to vote for you. Okay, so those signs are not true. And it turns out, I know that if you've never done it before, it feels a little weird. And I made a video the first time I did it, I was like, yeah, it's a little awkward. I gotta push myself to do it. And I remember the first call I ever made as a volunteer for Wolfpack. I made a video about that too, and I was like, I'm gonna call my state representative. Like, I interview these folks all the time, it's not a big deal, but for some reason calling them feels weird, right? And then, but you get in a groove, like 2 doors in, you're like, oh, they're people like me, and it's fun talking to them. And so, it's gonna be the experience of a lifetime, meeting these great, great people, whether it's on the phone or in person, okay? So, thank you for doing it, and I hand it back to Catherine.
Hey everybody, I just want to say something real quick. My name's Ben Mankiewicz. I started the Young Turks with Cenk 17 years ago. I also think that other than Wendy and his family and one friend of Cenk's perhaps would argue with this, who's here from growing up as a young boy, that I think I know him better than anybody except his family. And I'm not exactly like Cenk politically. I've been a Democrat all my life, and I'm proud for most of my life to be a Democrat, but I am less proud than I used to be. Because AOC said, what was it, this week? Was it last week? She was like, look, the Democrats, that's not a left-wing party. She said they're a center-right party. I would say center, but whatever, we're quibbling over unimportant points. So Boris Johnson in England, right? Great Britain, the UK. Nobody's sure. He's their Trump, right? He is brash, doesn't seem sophisticated, doesn't have sophisticated thought, eager for as harsh a Brexit as can come. And do you know that in addition to promising to deliver Brexit to conservatives, he also promised to add billions to the National Health Service? That's standard fare around the rest of the world. We don't even have a party in this country fighting for it fully. We're so enmeshed in the system that we have that causes an $8,000 deductible. So I don't know what Cenk can deliver on policy, but I know that he is as tough a fighter as I have ever met in my entire life. I know my father, who was Bobby Kennedy's press secretary, ran George McGovern's campaign. The guy got more liberal as he got older. He recognized that in Cenk. And when they hit him with criticism like he's got more support outside the district than in, you know who has a lot of support outside of the state of Vermont? Do you know who has a lot of support outside of the 14th District of New York in the Bronx and in Queens? In 1968, Bobby Kennedy was from New York. He had support from New York and Massachusetts. He had support from the other 48 states too. Real leaders lead. And as I said, I don't know what's going to happen policy-wise with Cenk, but I know this, and he will fail and fail and fail again if he's in Congress, because he is up against an entrenched system that knows how to make people who want to change fail. But as evidenced by him being here right now, here's what he will never do. Quit. Ever. And this is not just what progressives need in the House of Representatives and in the Senate. It is not just what Democrats need in the House and the Senate. It's what Americans need in the House and the Senate, is somebody who fights every day, who fights when they lose, who fights when they win, who continues to fight for you. I swear to God, nobody works harder than I've ever met, and nobody is more annoyingly relentless than Cenk. Catherine said that the 200,000 text messages they've sent out, is that right, Catherine? Is that the number, more or less? That sounds right, because I've received 100,000 of them. So, as you leave here, and the camaraderie and excitement of meeting each other and talking wears off a little bit, and you deal with some of the sad news that everybody in Los Angeles has been exposed to today, remember that this guy and this campaign is worth your time, it's worth your effort. It will pay dividends for you next week, it will pay dividends for you on March 3rd, it'll pay dividends for you in March of 2021, 22, 2030, 2040. He will fight as he always has for the rest of his life. I can't think of anybody more worthy of your time, your effort, your money, if it's possible, your volunteerism. So thanks for coming, everybody. I appreciate it.
I hope that fired you up, because now we're gonna put you all to the test and see how many of you will actually sign up. All right, so first event here is a Canvas and See Me. I looked up this address right now on Google Maps. It's only 40 minutes away from here. So first Canvas is February 2nd at 11 a.m. The second one is the 8th, which is Saturday. So this upcoming Sunday and then the next Saturday, both at 11 a.m. And See Me, who can sign up to come? Okay, so this is going to devolve into chaos, and that's okay. Monique will direct you to an area. You will literally, physically come find her and sign up on the page. So make way for the people who are trying to come in from the corner. Give them a round of applause.
Woo-hoo! Yeah.
Okay, next one is a Canvas in Santa Clarita. This one is on the 15th. That's a Saturday, 2 weeks from now. That's at 10 a.m. The 15th Canvas in Santa Clarita. Santa Clarita is also quite close, probably about 40 minutes as well. Who can come to that one? All right, I'm going to put this one here. Come to this table here and write down all the information in those blank boxes. Okay, now we've got some events in LA. So we've got phone banks in LA, quite a few of them. Every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday, starting on the 18th at 10 a.m. Is that the same for the weekday events as well, Eileen?
Yeah. 10
Okay.
to 1.
10 to 1 every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday, starting on the 18th through even including on election day. We'll get those last minute voters. So if you can come to any one of these, you'll sign up on this piece of paper in LA. I'm going to put it here. We'll grab you guys some pens. All right. And here is our last one. These are also phone banks in LA. I wish I could tell you more specifically what area, but I don't know LA. So the 15th and the 22nd.
It's Palms. That's the area of LA.
Palms?
Oh, yeah.
I guess
West LA.
West LA. There you go. Means nothing to me. So the 15th and the 22nd in Palms, West LA. 1 p.m. Those are Saturdays. So 1 p.m. in West LA on Saturday. Who can go to that one? See a few hands. Okay, I'm gonna. No, let's put it over here. We'll put it on the end of this table here. If y'all can sign up there as well. So phone banks in LA. Here Saturdays. Also, is this phone bank? Phone bank Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday in LA. This is back here is a Canvas in Simi Valley, and then this is a Canvas in Santa Clarita. Come do it once. You'll love it. I promise you'll do it more than once. So if you aren't sure that you can do it, sign up. Come out to one. We will not let you forget that you signed up. And then hopefully we can get you to more than that. So I'll give you guys a few minutes to sign up. Again, LA phone bank here, LA phone bank there, Santa Clarita Canvas here, Simi Valley Canvas there. Let's take a few minutes to give everyone an opportunity to sign up, and then we'll turn it over to the speakers.
And for those of you at home, Catherine, jen2020.com/team to sign up. Events is better? Okay. So if you're watching at home, we love you. I'm sorry. I do that every time. jen2020.com/events. You can sign up for these events. Sure, if you're going to come in from Arizona to Canvas and District, that's awesome. But also the phone banks. You can do that from anywhere. And so I love them complaining about it. Make them complain about how strong you are. So if you're in Hawaii or Alaska, we don't care. You can sign up for these phone banks and they'll appear at jen2020.com/events. And for all of you out here, we got these great events and I'm super happy that you guys are signing up for them and keep it going. We also on the website have dozens of events already, so you can also check those out as well. So jen2020.com/events. Okay, keep going. We'll just take a couple of minutes and then John will speak and I'll speak again and give you all the stakes. This is title stakes, but I've explained it in detail and then happy to meet everybody at that. Okay, thank you. So for the folks at home, oh, you don't need to.
For the folks at home, my face is too close to the video now. Anyway, so we're going to end this video because that's what a barnstorm looks like. And then when the speaker's speaking, we'll start new videos and you can get those speeches as well. Okay, so we'll see you in a second.